working. Let me quickly check on my laptop if things are as expected.
Yes. It's never too late to double check.
Yes.
Nice. It's always a nice time to mute your laptop.
Yes, it has been done.
Kill that bitch. Ah, damn, my Ferrari looks nice.
Okay, going to my channel. I can see that there's a video that's live. Pumponico. You know what? I can actually watch YouTube and drive my car. It's the bandwidth.
Nice.
Wow. If you look at the stream and you see the game that's been mentioned downstairs, it's called N++. So YouTube does try to auto detect the game, I guess.
Yep.
In this case, it found that the game's name is N++, which is amazing.
That's not amazing. The amazing part is we have started streaming and not done the intro. We are fucking around.
Well, okay.
That was a tragedy. That was a tragedy and a half. So, yeah. I'm running my ass away from that tragedy.
Well, I have an explanation for that.
We'll
The-
leave it for the after us.
And the explanation is that don't keep your stream open when you change your audio devices.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Come
cool.
on.
So I'm finally
right.
back on the track. Apologies for the noob level experience. This is the first stream, so just setting it up. Now that we have set up everything, let's begin with the intros. So, as you can see, this is the first podcast on the Double Diffuser podcast, and this channel is set up to discuss everything and anything related to motorsport, and including and not limited to Formula 1, although you might get a lot of F1 content because we are hardcore F1 fans, and we will talk more about what we're interested in. So, Rahul, anything you would want to add, or should I say Doom's Head?
Uh, yes. Nothing more to add. Just two people trying to play the game and speak some random shit. Hope
Yep,
you find it entertaining,
yep,
and well, we find it entertaining too.
yep. And hope you get a fun experience watching us struggle while trying to make good podcast content. As you can
Oh
see,
yeah.
it's not easy to drive and talk at the same time. Never recommended in real life, but fully recommended in the virtual life. It makes for some really great content.
I think drink and drive is also fun in virtual life.
Yes, totally
Try
agree.
playing this game on a on a pair of wheels and pedals after having a couple of drinks.
Yep,
You'll love it.
I actually just had a few drinks, but that wasn't the kind of drink you were expecting.
Nice, nice.
All I,
Oh
all I
my
can
God.
say is, all I can say is it wasn't milk.
Was it these nuts? I
That
should have said
is that a drink?
they do create some drinks.
Mein
But this is
Gott.
not, this has nothing to do with motorsports. We just
You're,
said we were going to speak
you're,
about
s-
motorsports.
you're scaring away the viewers on our first stream.
Unbelievable. This guy just brake checked me.
Yes, he just bricked
Unbelievable.
you.
What did
This
this guy do?
this is not a safety car situation.
Yeah, obviously.
So are we doing a practice lap or should we just start it?
Let's try to do a clean quali lap where you don't spin me out,
Okay,
and
I'll
then
create
let's
some.
race.
Let me create some gap then.
This is the quali lap. Don't create gaps on a quali lap.
It's too late. This couldn't be our quali lap anyway because we had already collided into each other.
But the thing is, we don't have to be fast. We just have to be faster than each other.
Cool. Whatever that means.
Yes, I thought it and I said it and I did not process it. Not one bit. Okay,
We'll leave
so
it to our viewers to process.
yes. No, Michael, no. This was so not right.
So not right.
So we were going to discuss motorsports. So starting with Formula One, I guess.
Yep.
Thoughts on Jeddah Grand Prix?
Well, I think. Well, let me start off by saying that I am a Mercedes fan, and it's pretty pointless.
Boo!
It's pointless to comment on the first two races as a Merc fan because they clearly are not there. So I'll just ignore them for this podcast, and I'll just talk about the teams of the hour that are Red Bull and Ferrari. And let me just say that Ferrari, if anybody was thinking that the first race was a fluke, the second race just proves that this is no fluke. They are extremely fast and they are here to stay for this season. And I won't be surprised if they are going to win both the constructors and the drivers championship this year,
Oh
and
my god.
and completely dominate it as well. Although Red Bull are close behind, but I have a feeling that they might suffer reliability issues constantly, as is evident from their customer teams, or rather, should I say, sister team Alpha Tauri, which have been consistently facing reliability issues in both races. So I think they might have some issues over there, but I think Ferrari is a strong package in every sense. When it comes to speed, when it comes to reliability, the aerodynamics package, everything looks great. So my money is on Ferrari, but you can't discount Merc as yet. It's still a long season. But if you were to judge by the first two races alone, it would be Ferrari for me. So, what are your thoughts?
So the simplest way to answer this question is, did you enjoy the race or are you Mexican? That would be the straightforward question. Because if you're not Mexican, I guess
Well,
this was one of the best races we've had. And yeah, it was really fun. Although it might seem like I'm driving a Ferrari and then talking a lot about Ferrari, but I'm a fan of the sport and good racing, so I thought it was amazing. The final laps that we had, so many battles. It
yep,
was more than Ferrari or Mercedes. I thought it was a fun, enjoyable race. A race where we did not sleep halfway through.
yep,
And that
yep,
was fun. And that was pretty much fun.
yep. It's unfortunate for Sergio because he got the pole and he very well could have won it. He had the pace as well, but pit lane issues and all, nobody can help it. It's not in everybody's control, especially the safety car. Safety cars can just turn around a race, as we have
Can
seen
you
in the
imagine
past.
if Michael Massey was still there? People would have burned him alive. If he would
Yes,
have done what he did, half of Mexico would have taken him and burnt him alive. Um, but see, yeah, I guess it was just a part of the roller coaster ride. But I'm happy for Sergio. He's finally fitting in a team and finally the car suits him.
right.
He was in the right place at the right time, you can
Yep.
say.
Speaking of fitting into a team, I think he's one of the two people who have absolutely gone into a new team and completely fit in as if they never left. And the other person I'm talking about is, of course, Carlos Sainz. What a job he's doing. He's been with Ferrari since.
I thought you were going to say George Russell.
Yes, but I promised I won't talk about Merck, so I'm just ignoring them for
Oh,
now.
oh.
And to be honest, he hasn't really given a performance that is that stellar compared to Sainz till now. He's just done two races, so too early to comment on him. On the contrary, Sainz has been with Ferrari since last year, and he has been giving his best and doing a great job, I would say.
And he did beat out uh, Charles in the first season for
Yep,
joining Ferrari.
exactly. To beat a person who's been there for years and who's supposedly the no number one driver in the team, that takes a lot of skill and continuous hard work. Because even no matter how experienced or skilled you are, nobody can just go into a team and start performing like he did. And this is not the first time we are seeing this. He has done the same thing with McLaren
Yeah.
also in the past. So I would rate him extremely highly in my list of top drivers to watch out for in F1. He is certainly up there. I would say he's probably one of the best for the future era, if not already the best. Because just give him a good car and you will see what he's truly capable of. And now he really has a good car.
I think he's
I,
still struggling with the car. He's missing the final 10%, I guess. But once he gets through, I am looking forward to the intra-team fight between them.
right. I think he can be another championship contender along with Charles if Ferrari continue their dominant run this time around as well.
He has to be. He has to. This is his opportunity because he's just had a. This is the first time he's having a championship competing car. Oh my god, I got the penalty. No, Michael, no. This is
Well,
so not right.
as you can see, driving and talking are not recommended.
Especially on Mount Panorama on the top of the hill where you have to brake
Yes,
very specifically.
yes. I
So,
imagine it's going to be much harder for you since you're on the manual shifting compared to me who's on automatic. But still, I'm having troubles.
yeah. So, what about the race? I think Checo made a good start.
Yep.
Initially, he pulled out a nice gap, and I was surprised to hear that Max was genuinely feeling bad for Sergio on the radio. It was as if he could swap the position with him.
Well, I mean, Max really appreciates Sergio and his skill because, to be frank, he was one of the big reasons why he won the championship last year. I
I guess
mean,
that's
if
true.
if Sergio's defensive driving was not there, I don't think Max would have, been victorious on a couple of occasions. It's purely, especially on the final race,
Yep,
that really helped
that's true.
Max. So he really appreciates his teamwork and dedication to the team, and he never comes in the way of what the team wants to achieve. So I
Yeah.
think, yep,
So about the race,
yep.
the first part I thought was okay. What about McLaren, man? Before we get into the specific events of the race, which I have a couple of them lined up in my head, but what about McLaren?
I think, uh, I think they did a comparatively better job here compared to the last track. They are getting, they're getting improved by small bits and pieces. But I think this time all Mercedes engines are facing certain issues. We don't know exactly what those issues are. Although, if I go by what James Allison said in the breakdown for the Saudi Arabian race, they are facing some issues with porpoising which are not directly related to what the media people are saying. So the reasons for their aerodynamic and straight line speed issues are not something which they are, at least they are completely different to what everyone else is saying.
What
And
are
we
those?
don't know for sure what the reasons are. And yeah, coming to what people are saying, they are saying it's down to the ride height, the wing
But that
length.
is just bullshit. Let the aerodynamicists sort it out.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought they might have another reasoning which is more generic.
yeah, they haven't really given any reason, the Mercedes guys. So James basically mentioned that they are still to find out the exact nature and cause for this. And another perspective on their ongoing issues are that they are probably not there with the chassis yet, and so because of that they are keeping their engine mode at a lower level, deliberately, so that they don't wear it out, in order to conserve it for future races, because it's going to be a very packed season after the first 6 or 7 races or so.
How
So
did we end up talking about Mercedes when we started talking about McLaren again?
it's your fault. You led me into it.
No, I started
Well,
by saying McLaren.
well, is see the biggest problem with McLaren are kind of the same problems with Merc are facing. So since they're using the Merc
I
engines,
I
we
don't
have
think
to
so.
we have
I
to
don't
talk
think so.
about their engines.
No, I think because Toto has also come out and said there is not a problem with engines. Because who else uses Merc's engines? Williams.
I mean they are facing straight line speed issues. If it's not a problem with engines, then
McLaren
it's
have an issue with brakes. They have a fundamental issue with their car, if you remember. Their brakes are burning out.
right about that. So their chief designer James Key
Yes.
has basically mentioned that there are still a lot of tweaks that need to be done on the car. It's not a perfect design. There are a lot of
Yep.
aerodynamic aspects which need to be looked at.
So
But
basically, in proper words, they've shit the bed with their car.
yep, one would
So
imagine that being in the fourth position last year, they would have had extra wind tunnel time and probably
now you are understanding what I'm trying to say. That last year they were so competitive, and the engine has not changed too much,
yes,
right? They are not even competitive with the midfield cars, man.
yep,
Um, I feel so sad for both of them, especially for Danny Rick. Anytime a company shits the bed, it is Danny Rick who has the most DNFs.
that's true.
Yeah, he
That's
has the
true.
DNF.
I think his driving style is, probably a factor in his DNFs because not all cars and engines can handle that kind of style. He's a late braking kind of racer, driver, I would say.
Hmm.
And if you look at Verstappen's career in the beginning, he was also one of the late braking drivers, and he had a lot of reliability issues with the car at that point of time. But now it seems that Red Bull has completely, designed the car around his style, so he doesn't face that kind of issues as much. But Danny Rick had not had the privilege of being in a team that would build a car around his own, you know, technique.
Now he is.
He has
Now
to
they
basic,
have.
yeah, but it doesn't seem to be working out so far. So, and it also takes a lot of resources, mind you, to generate a car around individual drivers because they are already tied to Norris, and I don't know if they can afford to build a car that is perfectly suited to each of their drivers. I
So
don't know.
I'm gonna say a line which is going to hurt some people. Can we just take a moment to step back and appreciate that? Say whatever you will, but Red Bull basically designed a good car for him, and it was wrong of him to let go.
That is true. I think that, I mean, in hindsight, if you compare to where he was in his career before leaving RB and look at
Hmm.
him now, I think he would have definitely achieved greater success at Red Bull.
He should have been doing the job that Science is doing,
Yes, that's true.
is what I expect. He should have been Science, but hard luck to him. But
Yep.
McLaren, man, I just can't imagine. I thought they were the ones who were going to take the fight for the top of the midfield. But
Yes, I was
but
looking forward to that, but it appears, again coming back to Mercedes, it appears that the Merc engines are failing for everyone, so to speak. Even Williams, they were expected to do a lot better, but they are so far behind just like last year. Nobody expected them to be failing so hard even this year with the new regs. So there has to be a fundamental issue with the Merc engines at least. It can't be all down to car design and aerodynamics,
I mean,
right?
there is an inherent one. It's not that Merc engines are bad. I think Ferrari have done a better job.
That's true, but then if that's the case, then they have done a seriously good job. They have managed to find some extra horsepower somewhere and
If you
managed to.
remember, that is one of the things that was discussed last year. Rumors were out there that Mattia, who is basically an engine guy, if you
Yep.
remember, he
Yeah,
was back in the
I do.
factory working with their team.
I do. I do. I also remember that he mentioned on record that they had managed to find another 15 to 20 horsepower, just based on pure aerodynamics and not just on the engine. So I totally believe it that now. At that point of time, it seemed like he was sort of just bluffing based on their past records, but now I'm pretty sure no one is laughing.
Right. Okay, so let me change the race setting and at event settings.
Sure.
Let me put a
S-
simple track.
Give me a moment, I'll be back.
Okay. Hmm. Um. Let's see which is an easier track. Is it Interlagos? Let's see Interlagos in Group 4, 5 laps, sunny. Change event. Da-da-da-da-da. So, if anyone is listening, what are your favorite moments of of the race? Hmm. A shortcut penalty. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So do let us know what are your thoughts on this. These are our thoughts, but you are always allowed to disagree with us. And I'm not sure if you can see my view, but I'm on track doing some hot laps. So personally, continuing the conversation from where I left off, I think Merck, Merck should have been in a better place. I think they went too deep last year in terms of the development route and focused a little bit too much on the last year battle, and then they lost out in the current year's development. That may be the case, or Ferrari outdeveloped them because Ferrari had a lethal combination. They had two stable drivers, and they had a lot of time in the wind tunnel, and what else? They had a lot of time in the wind tunnel. They had a good engine. They are one of the richest teams in the sport, and their CEO, I guess Jensen is back.
Yes, I am. I was just listening to what you were saying, and that last part, they are one of the richest teams in the sport. That definitely helps, doesn't it?
They
Because,
are basically the team that gets the most value from the sport as well. They are
yes,
paid a they are paid a prize money which is more than what is paid to the other teams because of their heritage. Basically, Ferrari has been a part of Formula One since race one.
yep,
So here is a continuity bonus, more or less. But the
yep.
fact that they are being led by someone who has a background in engines. So one thing, if you've not listened to they 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 put out a podcast, right? Formula One. What's it called?
Not too sure.
I think they put out a podcast. They had one with Mattia, and people should listen to it. It's a good solid podcast.
Okay,
He
now that
explains that.
Now that we are on stream, let me just quickly look it up for the benefit of our viewers. Otherwise, what's the point of talking about F1 if we can't give them all details, right?
Yeah.
So let me just quickly go to the Ferrari page.
It's not the Ferrari page, it's a Formula One podcast.
Okay.
Behind the grid, yeah. I don't remember what the name is.
I think it's something like that. I remember that. Let me just quickly.
It is a podcast with Tom Clarkson. They make two podcasts. One of them is one where they have people from Sky Sports, but I'm not talking about that one. There's one made by Tom Clarkson, which is with the Formula One team members, and a lot of them drivers as well.
I
They are
think
a really
it's
good listen.
I think it's F1 Beyond the Grid podcast.
Beyond the grid, yes,
Yes,
beyond the grid.
and
Even with Toto.
we just trying to find Mattia's podcast. I will post the link in our description for the benefit of our viewers.
That will be great if you
Yes.
could do that. But yes, coming back to that, he started his whole career. He's actually not Italian. Do you know this?
Oh, that's interesting. So this podcast was
Yep. That one.
okay.
So
Posting it
he's
on
not
our.
Italian. He's actually Swedish. I guess he stays in Switzerland. I guess not Sweden. I think Switzerland. One of those. He's Swiss more or less. But that was a fun little insight about him that I didn't know earlier. I thought he was a die-hard Italian. Otherwise, you won't be allowed to enter the Ferrari factory. Are you not joining the race then?
Just a moment. I'm just posting it on our chat.
Oh, nice. So basically, he told Tom Clarkson, who's an amazing interviewer. So he told him that how engine focused he is. So it was about time that he was going to prioritize engine over aero, and hence the result that Ferrari with Shell have worked out a half decent engine.
Yep. I think that's actually a pretty good way to think about it, because no matter how strong your aero is, if you don't have an engine to support it, you will never get
Uh,
very far in F1, because it's all about the top speeds. Aero can help you take the corners fast, but it doesn't matter if you're losing a second or two on the straight lines. So in that
do you know what
sense,
Enzo Ferrari said? He said a very famous line.
yeah.
He said aerodynamics is for people who don't know how to make engines.
I would probably agree to that.
Yes. So are you not on track? Are you on
uh,
track? What
yes,
is the
i'm
situation?
i'm on the track now, ready to start the race.
Oh, you've done your quali? Or will you not be doing?
uh, yeah, let's just ignore the quality. This is
On the
a
quali.
this is this is an entertainment race anyway.
Oh yeah.
I hope the
So
viewers are getting a good quality stream in the pixel sense. Not sure how the streaming is working out so far. It seemed to be okay. Hope it
do you
is
like my
lined up.
hazard lights?
Those are cool.
So what a good job Kevin Magnussen has done.
Yes, that is probably one of the standout performances so far. And the poor guy is really hurting his neck from all the hard racing he's doing with Haas. It seems
Yeah, I
like
heard that.
he's giving it more than 100%, and his neck is unfortunately not there. It's not his fault, but he is doing the best job he can.
Yeah, we were praising Sainz, but he went from a Formula One team to Formula One team. This guy
Yes,
went from a WEC team, which
yes,
is GT racing to a
Exactly.
Formula One team.
Exactly. That's true. He has
Just
basically surpassed his limits to do something which could not be imagined. Nobody,
yes,
nobody goes from a lower category of racing to a higher category without a certain level of fitness and still manage to perform like the guy did. I mean, you could say that they have better engines, but so did Mick Schumacher in a similar car. But he is far ahead of Mick, and he has brought Haas into a situation where they already have points with just two races in, and they're already so far so much better than what they were doing the last year.
right. And the fact that I don't know if you remember or not, but when he made his debut, I think it was 2015 or 2016 with McLaren, it was a similar situation where he was brought in for Australia and he basically got to know the steering wheel and everything overnight. He had not driven the Formula One car for McLaren, and on his debut, he went on the podium.
Yes,
So,
I would say in that sense, for people who are able to get to terms with a new car, he is right up there with Sainz. I mean, even Hulkenberg, he just jumped
better
into
than
the car.
science, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And even Hulkenberg was just came out of nowhere to be the super sub.
Yeah,
He's also not bad, but his performance was nowhere near what Haas did. But that could also
mm,
come down to the engine difference and the nerfing of the Merc engines. So can't really comment on that. But yes,
I just
definitely he's done a great job.
I have a question. Okay, and this could be divisive, but then most of the things are. Uh, what do you think would have been the reaction of the people? Or let's say, let me ask you about your reaction. If the crash uh, that happened because of Mick, or had it been Nikita instead of Mick who crashed that time, what do you think would have been the reaction? Same or different?
Well, to me, it would have been the same. But some people, especially after the circumstances of last year, because Nicholas's crash essentially cost Lewis the championship in a way. I think some people would definitely be pretty much against him and him being in Formula One because of his skill, which is not incorrect to say because he's been here for like more than 2 years now, and to be making the same kind of mistakes after this amount of experience would be, you know, incorrect or wrong, so to speak.
But Mick made it.
Comparing him to Mick, yes, more better things are expected from him. Both of these guys are champions from junior categories. Mick has a lot of expectations on himself because of his lineage, but I also find that Mick is making too many mistakes, and just because he's a nice guy and the son of a great world champion, it seems that people are giving him a lot of rope and ignoring a lot of the mistakes he's making.
So,
I guess it comes down to the attitude the drivers have towards themselves and towards improving. If it comes down to attitude,
I
I
think my
think
question got lost. My question got lost. My question was not this. My question was that last year, Nikita spun so much that people actually made a website called mazespin.com and all those things. Right? It became a joke that he keeps on crashing.
yes.
Right? But my question is, why is the same kind of judgment not passed on to Mick, let's say?
Yes,
Because
so I was coming to that. So that is exactly what my last comment was leading to. That it essentially boils down to the attitude of the drivers. Even though Mick and Nicholas are uh, driving like amateurs and crashing so much, they are still willing to work with their team and try to improve however they can. in
Hmm.
comparison to Mazepin, who appears to be always at loggerheads with his own team and claiming that he had a different car from his teammate, which could be true. We don't know. I don't know. But the
But
attitude with
he
which
didn't do
he
it to earn money. He did it to be more competitive, didn't he? I
that,
mean,
that's true. That's true. But
so
I mean, even if you are trying to be competitive, you can't just lash out at your own team and not do what your team requests you to do. I mean, you can be a little more supportive. After all, it's a team sport. You have to recognize that the whole team is working hard, and you can't be just blaming everybody for all the wrong things that are happening to you. It just pulls everybody down. For example, let's just take the example of Haas again. Look at the difference in the atmosphere within Haas as soon as Kevin joined. I mean, they were suddenly pumped up, and now they are, a completely different team, as it seems. They look suddenly more competitive, and it seems like they are going to seriously give a fight to be one of the top mid-level teams, beating the likes of McLaren, Aston Martin, Williams. Williams is not a mid-level team, but still, it's competition. So yeah, that's I think it comes down to the attitude of the drivers and the teammates more than the mistakes they make, because everybody makes mistakes.
but
to
Kevin,
to be
before he
honest,
left, was
yeah.
also blaming a lot on the team. His words were that I've never driven a worse car than what you have given me.
I
These were
mean,
Kevin's words.
he did say that, but he has backed it up with his performances when he had a better car, right? So
Nikita never had a better car. Did he?
he did
Ever?
win he did win junior championships, right?
Yeah.
So he had a car good enough to win championships, so he should
Yeah.
be able to adapt his driving style.
In a bad car, maybe he was adapting. I mean, what my thing is that the public perception is what I'm shocked by. That
Yes. So public perception is something that works in mysterious ways. First of all, the entire world seems to have some kind of perception about Russian athletes and Russian people in general, which is something that's hard to understand. And owing to the fact that Nikita is Russian and his father is a billionaire oligarch from Russia, that just reinforces their preconceived notions. Although people don't see that there are more billionaire kids who are driving. They have a
it's
special
true.
kind of disrespect for Nikita.
See, that is my problem. If you hate
So
him for the
that
talent, if you hate him for mourning, I think there should not be a double standard. That is the kind of thing I was getting to.
right.
I don't think Mick is doing an amazing job or something. He's a rookie. He's supposed to crash, right?
Yes.
And
Right.
he will learn. But
Right.
I think the way and the nature in which all the commentators and everyone came after Nikita Mazepin, that was surprising to see. And the same thing, those people now that Nikita has left are coming after Latifi.
Yes. Yes. Actually, good that you pointed it out. It is sometimes so apparent listening to the F1 commentators that they are definitely biased towards
Yes.
certain drivers and teams.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name the teams and drivers they're biased against,
Lewis
but
Hamilton and Mercedes.
it's
But please carry on.
it's definitely a specific nationality which they seem to love more than the others.
And I think
And
this is one of the reasons why I love Red Bull. Because if you remember, Horner basically corrected them. If you remember that interview in which he told the other guy at Damon Hill, he told Damon Hill that you should actually be appreciating the one person who has the cojones to take the fight up to Lewis, and you're still parading Lewis like anything. And you could see the life going out of Damon Hill's face when he heard
that's
that.
that's true.
He said that face to face.
That's true. That's true. That's actually, he's the team principal of Red Bull. He will always support his drivers,
I know.
And he himself being a British person, I mean,
Right.
if he was working with Mercedes, I'm sure he would have definitely supported Lewis equally. But not only does he do his job as team principal pretty well, he also does seem kind of more balanced in his opinion of people. He doesn't, I
Right.
mean, he doesn't take nationality into account. I mean,
Exactly.
he has a Dutch and a Mexican driver in a essentially British team, right? So Red Bull is British, right? They have headquarters
Yep.
in Great Britain. So it's a
Milton
British,
Keynes.
yes, it is a British team, and they have no driver who is British,
Yep.
which is amazing to see, and it's refreshing compared to Mercedes, who now have a completely British lineup. So, and when they don't have British drivers, they had Germans, which is the Mercedes home country, or Finland. Finland somehow seems to have close relations with any British team because McLaren of previous years seem to have a liking to Finnish drivers as the lead drivers. If you think about Häkkinen and Raikkonen and then Heikki Kovalainen, they had a thing for Finnish drivers for some reason, and Mercedes carried it forward by signing Bottas. So it's very rare to see, different nationalities in such teams, but Red Bull is a welcome change. So yeah, agree with what you said.
Yeah. I mean, he speaks like a human should speak. I mean, he's not a PR machine.
Yep.
He, love him for the fact that he says things as they should be. I mean, obviously, he has sometimes a little bit of things to say which are not logically 100% correct. But in terms of media coverage, I think he's one of the most honest ones
Yep.
out there.
I mean, yes, he married a spice girl. I guess some of the spice rubbed off on him.
Damn, damn. How did we end up here?
I have no idea.
How did we end up here? But yeah. Um, um, so your predictions for this year, based on what we've seen for the first two races?
I mean, the diplomatic answer would be that it's still just the two races out of 23, so
I
anything
am
can.
not someone from UN, so please don't give me a diplomatic answer.
I think I already gave my answer. I am supporting, I think Ferrari is a very strong contender for both
Okay.
championship drivers and constructors. And of course,
Oh,
Red Bull will give them, a very good fight. But Mercedes are the dark horses. I don't know what they will do. But for
I
me,
asked you, what is the one driver you are supporting? You gave me answer with three teams. What is wrong with you, man? What
gave.
Mazepin?
I mean, again, I already gave my answers. Ferrari for both championships. Coming to the driver, I think it's going to be really close between Leclerc and Sainz, but I'll put my money on Leclerc because he seems to be
Oh,
having the more consistent car performance out of the two. Although sometimes it looks like Sainz is working with the slower car, but just getting on the top because of his pure skill. But I think Leclerc has a more consistent car, so he should be the guy to look out for. What about you?
I think Max could be a double world champion by the end of this year, or or uh, I think Sergio could get his first world championship. I think Ferrari are there or thereabout, but Ferrari has been so far away from the frontline championships. It has been so long since they were at the front of the championship. I think they might have forgotten how to develop throughout the year. This is just the initial start, right? And
Yep,
in the second race itself, we saw the difference that Ferrari had the fastest car, but still Max beat them.
that's true. Red Bull are really good with their strategy because after fighting Mercedes, they have really honed in on all their strategies, and it seems like they're a more complete
Exactly.
they are a more complete unit. And although I would love to see Sergio winning the championship, I don't think that's ever going to happen as long as Max is there in the team. You know what I saying, yeah. If you know what I mean.
After Ricciardo, he's the only one who has outqualified Max. He's the
Yeah,
only one.
but out qualifying doesn't mean that they will let him get the world championship just like that. I
I
mean,
think this is a wrong sentiment amongst people that they are a team behind Max. Yes, because Max is delivering. Last year, Max was delivering. Give it 5 races where Max does not deliver. They were backing up and totally behind Ricciardo as well.
that's totally possible, but it doesn't look like such a huge distance will be happening between Verstappen not delivering, considering the kind of support he has from the entire team, and
Yeah,
Sergio who's willing to act as a teammate and not as a title contender. Although it would be great to see a Mexican driver winning the championship for the first time, I don't see that happening with the way things work so far in F1.
yeah. I mean, I just said that Max could have his second world championship, but if he loses or the car does not suit his driving style, and if he's not able to adapt to the new style that is required, I mean, I don't think Ferrari would be the one that would step up. I think it's one of those two who would step up.
Let's see.
Merc,
Let's see.
Merc has a huge disadvantage that they don't get extra aero time for them, at least till the middle of the season.
Yes, that's true.
It is only after that that it changes.
I think, yeah, that's very real possibility. But I don't feel like this year Merck is going to be able to do anything. And if they don't, I also think that Lewis would probably consider retiring a year earlier.
Who would replace him?
I would, bet
You
money.
would? You would replace him?
A very
Mine
funny
got
joke. That's
mine got moved aside.
as much as I would like to. I am not that capable. But I would put my money on Nick DeVries, who is a fellow
De
Dutch,
Vries.
yeah, who's a fellow Dutch driver to Verstappen, I think, and I think he can do a great job. I am not uh, entirely sure if Van Doon would ever get another chance in a Merc seat.
Uh, nope, I
Yep.
don't think.
Although the
Mhm.
guy looks like he has all the skills, but he was just unlucky in his earlier career with McLaren, and he couldn't really show off his skills. But Nick has been doing a great job in FE. I'm not sure if those skills will carry over to Formula One, but considering his age, I think he's a very strong contender to be the future of Mercedes.
I don't think they would put another amateur driver. They put Russell in Williams for 3 years before showing him a seat to the Mercedes. So I don't think they would put a novice driver as the second driver with him.
I think
They,
I think it depends on how Russell performs this year. If he's able to put in consistent performances and even beat Lewis on multiple occasions, I think he won't really be called a junior driver anymore. I think he's with 3 years of experience in his under his belt, he can be considered as an experienced driver. And some of the performance he's given, even with Williams, a team as weak as Williams, he definitely deserves that experienced title.
how did I did not say that he did not deserve it. I'm saying that anyone else stepping into the second seat, right, would not get it right away. Because Russell, being so talented, got it after 3 years of experience in Formula One. Do you think
He,
they will put in someone who's not had an experience or is not familiar with Formula One right away? I doubt.
That's true, but then at that point of time, Mercedes had options, right? They had Bottas and a couple of other drivers who were in the fray. But this time, if Lewis goes, I don't think they have a driver of that caliber who can replace him. You know, so I don't know how it's going to go.
Why? Do you think uh, they can't pull a driver from another team?
I mean, who do you think could be Lewis's replacement?
Carlos Sainz?
Do you think Carlos will leave Ferrari now that they are finally back in the reckoning?
Carlos still is uncontracted, and anyone would be okay with going to Ferrari. Or let's say Daniel Ricciardo.
I don't think any team is now going to risk Danny Rick unless he gives
Okay.
a string of superb performances. You know, it just
Who
doesn't
else is
seem
there?
likely. I think
Who else?
Sainz would be great, but I don't think he's going to leave Ferrari anytime soon, and I don't think Ferrari will leave him anytime soon, considering what
Pierre
he has
Gasly?
done. Yes, now he is certainly a person who looks like he's going to be a good replacement.
Fernando Alonso?
I think Fernando is a Renault and Alpine lifer. He won his two championships with Renault, which is now Alpine. So I don't think he's going to just leave them just like that, especially when they gave him an opportunity at his age. And I don't think Merck will go for driver at 40. If they had to do this, they will just continue with Lewis. Why would they go for another driver who's probably going to retire at any time?
I mean, I'm just giving you options, man. You said there are
Yeah,
no options available, but options are available.
I think there was only one option so far who looks like he can do it, and that's Pierre.
Why not call Bottas again?
I would Bottas want to return. After all he said about the cutthroat culture at Mercedes, I think even he would want to avoid. I think he's enjoying his time at Alpha so far.
I mean, he's still an option. Money can change, or if he can get a good deal with those clauses, because Lewis is no longer there, right?
I mean, look at his teammate, it's Russell. They don't exactly have a good history.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
and that's something Mercedes would definitely want to avoid, those kind of complications.
Sergio could be a good choice.
I don't think a Red Bull guy is going to work just like that.
It hardly matters. A Red Bull guy can go to any
Also,
place.
the kind of performances he's giving, I think Red Bull can just pay him more and keep him inside rather than just letting him go.
What about Albon? Russell is good friends with Albon.
Um, I mean, it can happen, but Albon doesn't look like. I mean, his performances don't speak for themselves, if you know what I mean. He hasn't really given a stellar performance worthy of praise, so I don't think he's worthy of a Mercedes seat. He doesn't even look worthy of a Red Bull or even a Ferrari seat at the moment. I don't think his performances so far are worthy of a top 3 seat.
Okay, what about Lando?
I mean, that's just my opinion because I'm just basing them off of performances he's given so far. Lando would be a good fit. I think he actually will be a great fit, but he has been tied to a contract which lasts for multiple years with McLaren.
Yeah.
So unless there is a clause in that contract which lets him go free because of the car performance, I don't think he's getting out anytime soon.
I'm just saying there are a lot of options available for the replacement seat.
Yes, but
They can replace.
none of them are actually feasible except Pierre. Pierre looks like the
Uh,
only feasible option, and I think even Pierre wants to get out of Red Bull, considering how he has been treated. You know, ever since he's been thrown out of Red Bull main team, he's just determined as hell to prove himself, and he has been proving himself pretty well. So I think he would be a great fit.
right. Cool. Should we wrap it up?
Yep, I think this has been a great podcast and a great discussion.
Yep, yep.
I'm looking forward to doing more of these.
Let's try to
Uh,
do it more often then.
yes, I think we can. We can play and talk at the same time, and definitely seems like something which we can do more often.
Cool then.
I see we have a viewer now that we are about to leave. I don't
That
know.
was me.
Uh, I was getting all excited.
That was me checking the stream.
Okay, okay,
Okay
okay,
then. Let's
okay,
wrap it up.
great. Yep, let's wrap this up. Thanks for anyone who tuned in. Uh, let's look forward to next time. Thank you.